Calil Valentine, running back, 6 foot, 180, electric from Chandler, Arizona. Could go pretty much anywhere that he wanted on the West Coast, Arizona, Arizona State. Auburn was involved, Utah, Boston College. I mean, this kid had people all over looking for him. Electric performer, has, I think he's got plenty of confidence as well. This is a guy who, if they're looking for people to be the lightning for the Thunder and Lightning, he might be one of the performers that gets selected in that role. Ked, what are your thoughts on Mr. Valentine?
Well, I have a non-football story for the listeners out there. So I'm walking into Memorial Stadium and I see this really cool coat by this kid and his mother. And I'm talking to myself. I'm kind of embarrassing myself. And I'm like, man, that coat is really sharp. Where'd you get that at? So I tap him on the shoulder and they were like, please don't take my coat, sir. Please don't take my coat. I'm like, look, that coat's not gonna fit me. Even if you put them together, they're not gonna fit me. And the mom was like, well, my son's a recruit, so that's where we got it from. So if you want one of these coaches, you gotta ask for the coaches. So ever since then, and I've had developed a great relationship with this kid. He is not short on any quotes or anything like that. He is coming to Illinois to play. He wants to go neck and neck with Caden Fagan. He told me that he is really looking forward to being the offset of Caden Fagan being Mr. Power Football, and him being the guy that can get out there and to change the look and put pressure on the defense. This kid rushed for over 1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, and I mean, let's call it what it is, Mikey. If you got offers from Auburn and Michigan State and Oregon and again Penn State and Miami, you know you're doing something. And I'll close with this. Going back to the code thing, what was unique about it? Because they're from Arizona, they weren't accustomed to wearing coats, so they were not going to let those coats go because down there they don't need them, but up here it was cool. I think it was sometime in October, November when he was here. But this is another four-star recruit. Again, that we talk about Illinois beating some of the better schools out to get.
When Kenny Dillingham got the job at Arizona State, the former Oregon offensive coordinator, I thought this was the potential for a flip because I think he runs a really, really exciting offense. It's a mama called me home type of situation for Kenny at Arizona State. And right over there in Chandler was one of the best running backs in the country in Calil Valentine. And it would have been easy for Calil Valentine to look at the Illinois depth chart and realize, there's like four guys in front of me that like could play before I ever get a chance to show what I can do. And he stuck with his commitment. And I think it's a testament to Thad Ward and his ability to recruit. I really do. I think Thad was one of the most, talked about recruiters, when Lovie Smith put together his first staff and, what he was able to do in that running back room early on before he left for Kansas State. And Thad has now come back to Brett Bielema, and it's the most important positional room in Brett Bielema's offense. And I think that again, they go and they get a Caden Fagan last year, who was a four-star kid, who was one of the most highly touted kids in the 2023 class. And then Caden comes darn close to being the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. And I think that Calil Valentine, I don't know if he's going to have a guy. You know what? I'll just say it. I hope he doesn't have the opportunity to show what he can do. And that's not a knock on Calil. I just hope Illinois doesn't have the injury issues that it had at running back in 2023 to force Calil out there. If he earns the spot by being here in the spring and being here in the fall, more power to him. But I do think that he is trusting in the system and trusting what Brett Bielema does with running backs in his offense and historically. He's had some good ones. He's had some Doak Walker Award winners. And I think that Calil Valentine, we talked about this with with Vernon Woodward, with, Amir Reynolds, with some of the DBs that Aaron Henry's brought in. Calil Valentine doesn't lack for confidence. And I think that he is a young man who thinks he's going to be a potential Doak Walker Award player like Chase Brown was for Brett Bielema. And I think that, he has the potential based on his skill set to potentially be correct. If nothing else, I think that Brett Bielema has proven that if there's a running back out there that he thinks he can get, he's been proven in these last 3 recruiting classes, I'm going to go get that guy. And I think that that has been a very, very highly, if you're talking about how they're batting in terms of year after year recruiting, you look at the running back room and they hit a pretty good percentage there.
Yeah, I mean, this again, another player, and of course, potential is obviously the word, but this is another guy with high potential who could be a difference maker for the Illini. He's an exciting back. You watch his films, he's a home run hitter when it comes to being on the football field and scoring touchdowns.